If you weren't with my channel a year ago, I actually decided to skip doing my worst movies of the year list altogether because I only saw like 25 movies in 2020. I did not see enough movies for me to make a good top 10 worst of the year list. And trust me, I saw a lot of crap in 2021, but this time around, I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to do a full-on top 10 worst of the year list. Instead, I'm going to do a top 5 list, and then in the second half of the video, I'm going to discuss what in my opinion is the most disappointing movie of the entire year. I could very well do a top 10 worst list, but why in my right mind would I want to waste my time talking about movies like Don't Look Up Again, an unfunny satire that clearly only has one point of view and doesn't attempt to make developed or likable characters, or Black Widow, a movie that should have come out 5 years ago and made Natasha Romanoff feel like she's part of a Fast and Furious movie? What about Without Remorse, probably the most cliched movie of 2021. It did not have a single original idea. Snake Eyes was supposed to start the next round of G.I. Joe movies, but instead did the complete opposite. And The Matrix Resurrections should have never been made, but of course it was made for God knows what reason, because I highly doubt it'll make any money back. Okay, so maybe I just gave away half of the worst movies of the year list. Well, at least I don't have to talk about those movies ever again. Let's get right into the top 5.
Number 5.
Okay, I'm still wondering, what was the point of The Little Things? I still have discussions with my friends about this movie. They claim it's one of 2021's best movies, but in my opinion, it's pointless. There's no plot, it's directionless, there is not a single intriguing sequence, it's not intense, the story is non-existent. I just didn't like a single thing about this movie. Sure, it has a good cast with Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, Jared Leto. Those guys are great. Yippee. But it was the first movie I saw this year. It was a January movie, and it did not need to exist.
Number 4.
Speaking of not needing to exist, Space Jam: A New Legacy, or Space Jam 2, starring none other than LeBron James. I guess this guy forgot how to act, though, after Trainwreck, because there is not a single ounce of this guy that can act in this movie. The entirety of Space Jam: A New Legacy also feels like a Warner Bros. Commercial. The plot is terrible. Everyone in the movie is terrible. I hated watching this movie in the theater. It was an awful experience.
Number 3.
To this day, I'm not sure how Hugh Jackman got attached to Reminiscence. This movie did not deserve such a great actor like Hugh Jackman. Reminiscence is one of the most bland movies I saw all year. The first 30 minutes are boring, the villain is underwhelming, I did not care about the movie's romance, the characters are all flat, there's nothing about this movie that's exciting. This could have been such a great movie with the premise, but nothing about it worked.
Number 2.
Tom and Jerry places number 2 for my worst movies of the year. Is that really a shock? Did anybody ever expect to see Tom and Jerry on a different list? Maybe top 10 best of the year? Absolutely not. This movie was horrible. Of course it's unfunny, but I still wonder, why does Tom and Jerry take place in a live action setting? These are 2D characters. It should take place in a 2D setting. And why does the movie focus so much on the live action people instead of Tom and Jerry? Tom and Jerry are probably in about 40% of the movie compared to the real characters. That was just so dumb, and they're all awful.
Number 1.
Finally, my least favorite movie of 2021 was Infinite. If there was a movie that I could never watch again from this year, it would be Infinite. I never want to watch this thing ever again. It's another typical Mark Wahlberg movie. It makes me afraid to see Uncharted in 2022. Just think of everything you hated about Transformers 4 and 5, and there you have it. Infinite is Transformers 6. It's a complete mess of a movie. It's so clunky. The characters are boring. This movie looks so dull. There's not a single thing I enjoyed about Infinite besides the cool premise, I guess. And that about wraps up my worst movies of the year list. So what about the most disappointing movie of 2021? Well, let's get right into that. Well, obviously I had high expectations for Black Widow, and this movie did nothing for me. It was easily one of the most disappointing of the year. Godzilla vs. Kong should have been the most epic movie of 2021, but it also fell flat. I was very underwhelmed by this movie as the culmination of the Godzilla franchise. I had massive expectations for Guillermo del Toro's newest movie, Nightmare Alley, but again, the movie disappointed me in several ways. I wasn't invested in Nightmare Alley's story until the final 15 to 20 minutes. But if I had to choose my most disappointing movie of the year, and this might surprise you, it's not a movie that I think is bad. I actually find it good, but it did not live up to expectations and the expectations I've had from this franchise over the past 15 years. That movie is No Time to Die, the fifth and final James Bond movie for Daniel Craig. I do own the movie on 4K now. How could I pass that up? It's still a beautiful looking movie. It stars Daniel Craig. It's his last movie of the Bond franchise, so I needed that on 4K. But serving as the conclusion for Daniel Craig's Bond, I needed a little more. It certainly doesn't beat the action of Casino Royale, Skyfall, or Spectre. I didn't like the plot more than those movies either. The villain kind of sucked. The set pieces weren't that impressive. Don't get me wrong, there are some good things in No Time to Die. I would not have bought the movie on 4K if that weren't the case. But being the final movie of Daniel Craig's Bond story, I just wish they could have gone above and beyond with the action, the story, and the villain, and none of that stuff really worked that well for me in this movie. Of course, though, I'm still thrilled this movie exists. If we ended with Spectre, I would have been disappointed because the end of that movie is nothing special either. Regardless, that's how I see it, guys. If you also have your most disappointing movie of 2021, also let me down below in the comment section what that might be. Next up is the return of my most anticipated movies list. I did not do it last year because I had no idea we'd be getting any movies in 2021, and now I know for a fact that we'll be getting a ton of movies in 2022. Everyone, I hope you all enjoyed the year 2021. I know I did. I hope you enjoy your new year, and of course, as always, if you are new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.